Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is Hayden Newberry Fishing. I'm Hayden Newberry. I'm a travel nurse, also a bass fisherman that travels around the country and fishes all the lakes that I want to fish, all the tournaments I want to fish, and this is my channel that I kind of document things on. But just wanted to say thanks to everybody. I finally passed 1,000 subscribers, kind of a big milestone in the YouTube channel world. Really, all the support and everything I got from everybody, I just wanted to say thank you. But tonight, we're in the back of the camper again. This is going to be just another kind of food for thought video, I guess. Earlier in the day, and just actually this, and more so even this afternoon when I got off work, I kind of had this thought in my head, and I've got to the point now where I've posted some of these videos. I kind of like the format of it, just saving it for in front of the camera to talk about it and just talk it out in my head. But I had this thought about, I guess, fish populations, I guess is what it is about. But I was really thinking about the growth of bass fishing, the amount of really fishable water for tournaments, and the amount of tournaments in recent years, really the amount of fishing pressure that is out there. But so, kind of to lead into this, in recent years, if you are in the bass fishing tournament world, you will definitely have noticed that there's a lot more high school, college tournaments. There's these massive high school tournaments, and the Toyota Series just last year, they started having even bigger tournaments. Some of the tournaments reached over 300 people in a Toyota Series tournament, which is insane. They usually, like most years, the big ones don't make it past like 200 boats. So over 301 is a change. It means there's more people out there that are interested in it. The Bassmaster Opens this past year had a massive waiting list. So kind of getting into this, these are just the major tournament organizations. But you have tons of these other places like NPFL, another major tournament organization. You've got all these other smaller tiers of different tournaments in between those, and then you've got the Bass Pro Tour, the Tackle Warehouse Pro Circuit, the Toyota Series, the BFLs, the Bassmaster. I mean, these are literally just the major tournament ones that like everybody talks about, but there's so many other ones. A lot of fisheries are having tournaments every weekend. But the thing is that they've had a lot of tournaments almost every weekend on some fisheries for a while now. But there's a big difference that almost I feel like isn't even being thought about, of the amount of boats in these tournaments and just the pure volume that are starting to reach different places, and it's, I feel like the amount of people fishing is more reflected in the tournaments, because tournaments aren't the only thing that have the possibility of affecting a fish population. And I'm not saying that I think we're gonna like make bass extinct by any means, but I think that it really, you can make a population or make an impact on a population by overfishing. And I guess example, take a stock pond. If you fish it enough, it's going to get worse in the pond. And that's downsized a lot, but when you take a huge lake and you start throwing 300 boat tournaments out on it, and a lot of them aren't, it's not like a pond where maybe you throw a bunch in the cooler or something like that, but there are kill rates in these tournaments. That's a real thing. The bass die if you hook enough of them. Eventually, some will die from infection. It's not necessarily just the ones in your live well that can die. It's one gets hooked weird in the gill, one might get hooked in the tongue, one gets hooked and you throw it back in practice and it's fine. But I mean, it is totally possible for these bass after they're caught to, when you throw them back in this water. I mean, you talk to there's actually, I've watched podcasts before with biologists that talk about whenever they're implanting trackers in these fish, that they compensate because, or they take account, I guess, for the ones that they're going to put trackers in, that some of them literally will, they just know a certain percentage will die every time from infection, because when you it's just like any other animal. When you put a cut in it and then drop it back into swampy water, it can happen. Those fish can die. So, I guess what I'm getting at, ballpark on this, is that I wonder if we're ever gonna hit that point where like bass fishing will just like grow to the point where like bass can't support it anymore, where there literally just won't be enough fish in the water. Because like say that like the NFL, big stretch, but the NFL doesn't have to rely on a fish population for its growth. Like the more people that are having, you know, the more people that have interest in the NFL isn't going to hurt the NFL. It just makes it grow. But if you had one day, you went a year with the population of people that are interested in bass fishing, and then the next year you took the population that watch football on Sunday, and every single one of them went fishing on Sunday, then you'd have a problem. We would definitely have some type of bad probably impact on the amount of fishing places if that many people were out fishing every single day. At the very least, it would get a lot tougher to catch them because, I mean, just pressure gets to fish. But that's kind of the direction I'm going with this, is that I almost foresee in the future there's a lot of really successful stocking programs and things out there, and I feel like that maybe in the future there's going to actually have to be more of that. I would almost guarantee that at some point there will be a tipping point where we're going to be like, this is, I mean, this has to eventually, it has to eventually be a problem if you keep adding and adding and adding. And it's not something that's like being tracked over the past 10 years. We're not like paying attention, I guess, to if it is, you know, all the, and it's not just fishing either. It's the spraying of all the natural grass in these lakes, and even the unnatural grass that are good for fish populations that we kill off so that, you know, recreational boating is better, but really it hurts fish populations. The fishing hurts fish populations. All of this stuff will eventually, I feel like, require that we do something more on that end of, and even maybe more aggressively stocking in preparation for what might happen in the future. But this is all, you know, I guess hypothetically speaking, because I don't know if we're really tracking it very well, if it's actually happening, and I don't know if like maybe we're just going to reach a point where, or we're just waiting for that point where we go, whoa, you know, the fish populations seem to actually be being affected now. And a huge factor, kind of what I'm was also wanting to get to in this video, a huge factor that we also, I feel like, aren't taking into account. We're definitely, people are talking about it, but I feel like not this way, is that we went a long time with a lot of fishing pressure without the ability to target fish whenever they went off in the area, just off in the abyss where you can catch them now on live scope. And I feel like everything you talk about fishing has the word live scope in it now, but it's I feel like a real part of the conversation is that we went a long time where it was harder to catch those fish offshore. Those fish weren't as affected by tournaments. There was always like that place that fish could go to escape it. And really, I mean, in the past 5 years, we've had this huge swing to offshore. This in the past 10 years, definitely with, you know, with technology, not even live scope, but I mean, 10 years is kind of a short period of time in the scheme of, I mean, we don't know how many fish were in the lake before all these electronics were made, so there's no way of knowing if it's actually had an effect yet. And I wonder if we're all of a sudden going to hit like a tipping point where, you know, like I said, where we look around and just go, things are definitely going south in fishing numbers, and we need to really ramp up. What I would assume that really we already do the stocking like Florida strain fish in a lot of places. Seems to really help in lakes. I think it was Watts Bar. I heard in the last years or whatever. Might have been longer than that, but I feel like recently I heard something about Watts Bar getting the Florida strain. So I mean, it's a thing that we know that we have to restock a lot of these fish because of fishing pressure. But I don't know. I guess that's kind of my thought here recently. I'm sure that some other people maybe can relate to this. That you just wonder if fishing ever like will grow to a point where we'll have to rely on ourselves to put the fish back in there constantly because you just physically a fish population can't support as much interest as bass fishing may get in the future. But I don't know. That's my weird thought video for the night. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for supporting the channel. Thanks for watching the video, and I'll see you guys on the next one.